But if I did not see your review yesterday, you got a 0 for that. So I need you to show it to me today so that I can type it in. Okay? So take a look at your first page. Yesterday we did pretty much all the graphing. Today we're doing solving. So let's look at number 1. Hey, what would I do first on number 1? -1, perfect. Okay, remember that you have to get the square root by itself. So -1, -1. 11 minus 1 gives me, okay, 10. So I have 5x minus 2 equals 10. Then to get rid of the square root, I have to square. When you square 10, what do you get? Okay, so 5x minus 2 equals 100. Then what? Plus 2. 100 plus 2 gives me 102. And then what's your last step? Good. Okay, 102 divided by 5. What do we get there? Okay, your last thing to do is to check the answer. Do you remember how to do that in the calculator? Okay, so my answer, 102 divided by 5, gave me 20.4. And then to check, all that you have to do is take that number, plug it in where x was in the equation, and then see if it really comes out to be 11. So I do square root 5 times 20.4 minus 2 plus 1, and I want to see, does it equal 11 or does it not? Okay? So let's type that in and see if it's a real solution or not. So 50 parentheses 20.4 minus 2 outside plus 1. Did I type that in right? Oh, it should have been a 5, not a 50. Y'all fix that, sorry. Okay, there we go. And then do you see it really comes out to be 11? Okay, so that means that it is a true solution, not an extraneous solution. Okay? So put a check. Alright, let's do number 2 right next to it. What would you do first on number 2? Okay, minus 5. What is 4 minus 5? -1. So at this point, I have square root 2x minus 7 equals 4 minus 5 is -1. Do y'all remember what you have to do when you square both sides on a negative base? Parentheses. Good. So I'm still going to square both sides, but you have to use parentheses if the base is negative. Okay, otherwise it's going to come out to not be correct. So what is -1 squared or -1 times another -1? +1. Okay, and if you type that into your calculator without parentheses, it'll come out to be negative, and that'll be wrong. Okay? Then 2x minus 7. Next step, plus the 7 across. 1 plus 7 gives me 8. And then last step, divide by 2 on both sides. X is going to be what? It would be 4. Okay, then remember, for your check, all that you have to do is take that number that you got, whatever that answer was, plug it in where x is. So I'm going to take my 4, I'm going to plug it in, okay, right there. So it'll be 2, plug in 4, minus 7, plus 5 equals 4, question mark. And then remember, we're trying to see, does it really equal that, or does it not? So we're going to do square root 2 times 4 minus 7. Then make sure that you get outside of the house here to do your plus 5. Okay, it's supposed to be 4, is it? No. Okay, put a whoosh. And then how do you mark it if it's not a true solution? It's an extraneous. Okay, remember that extraneous solutions only happen with square roots. They don't happen with cubic roots. Okay? Alright, come down to the next section, please. Okay, you'll notice that all of the other ones have an x on both sides. So we're going to do number 4. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is square both sides. So square and square. When I square x, what do I get? X squared. And then on the other side, I have 7 minus 6x. Now notice that middle part stays the same because the square is just crossing out with the square root. So none of the middle stuff has to change. Okay, then from there, if there's an x squared and an x, you have to t-chart to solve. So I'm going to bring my minus 6x across first. If it was a minus 6x, what's its sign on the other side? Okay, a positive 6x. And then next I need to bring my 7 over, and if it was a positive 7, then when I bring my 7 over, it'll be a negative 7. Okay, so remember that when those terms move across, they're going to switch sides. Now, if you want to move both of these guys together, that's fine with me. Just make sure you put them in order. Okay, set up your t-chart. I need numbers that multiply to minus 7. Well, 7's prime, so 1 and 7 are my only choices. But if I want to get a 6 left over, where do I put the minus? The 1 over x over x. So it'll be x minus 1 and x plus 7. Okay, from there, my answers, remember, are always the opposite of the number in parentheses. So I would get positive 1, negative 7. Okay, now on your test, let me see, or your CBA, it's written kind of like down here. So you remember it's multiple choice. Okay, so it would say the solution is blank, the extraneous solution is blank. So what that means is that there's one of each. How do you tell which one's which? You have to do what? Check them, right? So first I'm going to check 1. See if it's extraneous, and if 1's not extraneous, then I have to check the other one. Okay, so it would be x equals is 1 equals 7 minus 6 times 1. And then the other one I'm going to check is negative 7 equals 7 minus 6 times negative 7. And then remember, all that you have to do is plug in each of those one at a time and see if they really equal the number on the other side. So for example, type in this side and see if it gives you 1. So square root 7 minus 6, 1 in parentheses. Did I get 1? Check. Okay, now let's try with the negative 7. Square root 7 minus 6 times negative 7. What am I supposed to get on the other side? Negative 7, but I get positive 7. Doesn't work, that makes it extraneous. Very good. So mark out 7, put ES on it. And then remember, on your CBA, when you take it tomorrow, it's going to say one of them's extraneous, the other one's real. That's how you tell the difference. Okay? But you're typing in this side and then just seeing if it matches the other side. Okay, the last 4 here, there's one like this on your CBA. So I want to remind you of the shortcut that we use. So let's say you're doing number 6. When you square both sides, you have to square x plus 4 in parentheses. And we learned a shortcut for this, okay, in order for you to expand it. So I'm going to put blank, 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 equals. Now, on the other side, I had a square root. So if I square it, those cancel each other out. This middle part is going to stay the same, 3x plus 10. Okay, but on this other side where I had the x plus 4, you have to do your shortcut. Okay, so I learned like a cute little rhyme. It doesn't really rhyme, but whatever, from my calculus kids. So they said that their teacher taught them square, double, square, which is kind of what we did. We just didn't call it that. So what happens if I square x? I get x squared. Then what do I put here? I do 4 squared is, and then in the middle I double them. So 4 times x is 4x. What is double that? 8x. So it's square, double, square. Okay? And then from there, if I have an x squared and an x, I know I'm going to end up having to t-chart. So I'll have to minus my 3x over, and then I'll have to minus my 10 over. Now, you can do that in 2 separate steps if you want to, or you can just do it in one big step. Okay? So, these guys both cross out. I have x squared plus, what's 8x minus 3x? 5x left over, and then 16 minus 10 is 6. Okay, from here we're t-charting. What are the 2 ways for me to times to get 6? Or 2 and 3. Now, 1 and 6 can subtract to 5. Is that going to work? Can 1 and 6 subtract to be 5 for this t-chart? Not if it's a positive 6, right? They have to add. So which partners do I want? 2 and 3. So it'll be x plus 2, x plus 3, which means that your x's are minus 2 and minus 3. Okay? Alright, let's do one more like that. Now you should check these, but just to make sure we get through everything, I'm not going to check it for you right now. Let's do number 8. Okay, square both sides. On the right side, what am I going to get where I had the square root? 18x. Remember, think about that square root kind of like protects the middle stuff from changing. Okay, but on the other side, you're going to have to blank, blank, blank. Okay, remember, it goes square, double, square. So I'm going to put the first term squared here. What's that going to be? X squared. Then what's 8 squared for me to put here? 64. And then for my next one, I put them together and I double it. So if it's negative 8 times x, that's negative 8x. Double it is 16x. Now, one other thing before we keep going that I want to just remind you guys of is that remember that this number can't come out to be negative. Because even though it was a minus 8 squared, minus 8 times minus 8 is going to switch back to be positive. So the middle number can come out to be negative, but this third number cannot. Okay? Alright, we got to get everything on the same side. What are we moving? The 18x. Minus it across. So now I have my 0 on that side. X squared minus, what's negative 16 minus 18? 34x plus 64. Then I'm going to make my little chart here. And then I'll give you the pair on this one unless you guys can just think of it. It's kind of, I guess it's early in the chart. You have 1 times 64. What's the next pair? Good. 2 and 32. And what does that add up to? Now, if I want negative 34, how do I fix that? Make both of them negative, right? So it'd be a negative 2 and a negative 32. Divide them both by x. And if my answers are both, or if my parentheses are both negative, then my answers will both be positive. Very good. So x equals 2 and 32. Now, remember, on your CBA, it's multiple choice, so you're going to have to know which one's which. Remember, the way that you do that is by checking. So I'm going to check these down here in this little space. Let's say I want to try 2 first. So when you plug in, you have to plug it into both of the x's here and here. So I'd have 2 minus 8 equals 18 times 2. And then remember that if you have an x on both sides, you just need to plug in both sides to the calculator and make sure they come out to be the same. Also remember, it doesn't have to come out to be a whole number. If it comes out to a decimal, they just have to both come out to the same decimal. Okay? So let's do our left side first. We want to type in 2 minus 8. 2 minus 8 is negative 6. Square root of 18 times 2 is positive 6. Did they match each other? Does that count as a match? No. So that is my extraneous solution. So I'm going to put 2 here. And if 2 is extraneous, what does that mean about the other one? That it is the real solution. So the solution is 32. The extraneous root is 2. Okay? Now, the actual one on your CBA, I made the review after I looked at it to make sure that if there were any curveballs, I could warn you. Okay, the 1 on your CBA is like number 7. All that you have to do is one extra step on this one. What do you have to do with that extra 1 in the front before you can square both sides? You just minus it across, okay? So instead of having a 7 on the other side, I'm going to minus this 1 over and get rid of it. So 1 minus 1 crosses off. Now I have negative square root 2x plus 20. And then on the other side, instead of an x plus 7, now it's an x plus 6. Now, why would that have to happen? Well, remember that part of your shortcut is cutting this in half. So if it was a 7, you wouldn't have been able to half that really anyway and get numbers that you'd be able to t-chart. Okay? Then from here, we're going to square both sides. And even though there was a negative here in the front, if I square it, is that negative going to stick around? Because if I do a negative times another negative, what happens to that? It's going to cross out. What else is going to cross out? The square root. So I'm going to have 2x plus 20 from the middle equals. Okay, so again, even though there was a negative there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mess anything up. And then on the other side, you're going to blank, blank, blank. Square, double, square. So fill in that shortcut for me just to see if you get it right. So it's square, double, square. So x squared goes in the first blank. What's 6 squared? 36 goes in the last blank. Then 6x doubled is 12x. Then from there you have to t-chart. Remember, you're bringing all your stuff to where x squared is. So if x squared is over here, I'm going to minus the 2x across. And then I'm going to minus the 20 across. Because remember, you can only t-chart when you have your expression equal to 0. Okay? So I have 0 equals x squared. 12 minus 2 is a 10x. And then 36 minus 20 is 16. I need my numbers to multiply to 16. They also need to add to 10. What could I pick? 2 times what? 2 and 8. Good. And 2 and 8 add to 10. So those are our numbers. Okay, divide by x. So it'll be x plus 2 and x plus 8. Now, if my answers are both positive, if my parentheses are both positive, my answers will both be negative. Good. So it'll be x equals negative 2 and x equals negative 8. And then remember from there, okay, you could go through and see which one is extraneous, which one is not. Do we have a guess on which one we think is extraneous? Probably negative 8. So let's try it and see. If it is, we know the other one's the real one. So we have to go back to this original right here. So it'd be 1 minus 2 times negative 8 plus 20, negative 8 plus 7. And notice all that I'm doing is I'm taking wherever those x's were, I'm taking the number that I got, I'm plugging it in. Okay? So let's see, the left side, I'm just typing in this side right now, is 1 minus square root 2 parentheses minus 8 plus 20. That side came out to be negative 1. Other side was negative 8 plus 7. Let's see if that comes out to be the same. Okay, boom, it does. So is negative 8 the extraneous one? Then it must have been negative 2. Okay, and then the word that they use on the CBA is the word root. Remember that is the same as a solution. So don't let that freak you out. I use the word solution mostly, but a root is the same. Okay? Alright, so that is one type of solving. Remember, this is everything we've covered this semester. Okay, turn the page. The other thing that's on your CBA is a couple of these word problems. Most of y'all did well on this on your test that we took over it. We're going to run through maybe 3 of them just to make sure you have the idea. Okay, look at number 9. Says the time t it takes a balloon to inflate depends on the friction constant F. Okay, I totally made this up. This is not a real science thing. Okay, just pretend. Okay, then it says the time can be modeled by the equation, boom. The first thing that you do is you cross out this little f. Okay, remember that that's function notation. They're going to put the second letter there. You just get rid of it. So it's t equals 0.2 f minus 6 plus 10. You get rid of that second letter because you don't want to be confused as to which one is which. Then it says, find the friction constant if it takes 13 minutes to blow up the balloon. Where do I plug in 13? For T or for F? For T. So I'm going to take my 13 and I'm going to plug it in right here. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do when I plug in 13 is I'm going to switch the sides around. So I'm going to write this side first. And I'm going to set it equal to 13 on the other side. Just because usually it's easier to solve when you have your letter on the left. Okay, what would step 1 be? Because once you read the word problem and plug in the number, it's just solving from there. Huh? How do I get rid of the plus 10? Minus 10. 13 minus 10 is 3, right? Okay. Can I square both sides right now? You got to get rid of every number not inside the house. So that 0.2 cannot stay there when you square. So I'm going to divide by 0.2. Now, I don't know if you remember me reminding you of this, but when you divide by a decimal, it's going to make your number bigger. So 3 divided by 0.2 comes out to be how much? 15. Very good. Okay, when you divide by a decimal, it's going to make your number bigger. What do I do from here? Square. And notice, I can't add that 6 because it's in the house. You have to get rid of the house before you can add it across. Okay, so my square and my square root cross out. I have an f minus 6 left over. And then 15 squared in my calculator comes out to be 225. Then add your 6 across. What's our friction constant? 231. Very good. Okay, so all that you have to do is plug in the number in the right spot and then solve it. Okay? Now also pretend this is multiple choice. I know this one wasn't, but if you had 4 answer choices, could you just plug in each one and see which one works? Okay, yes. So use those test-taking strategies. Okay, when you get there. Okay, number 10, set it up, and then I'm not going to do it for you. Cross out your A. What number are they giving you? 18 is which letter? Is it the A or the P? It says, find the area if the perimeter is 18. So where am I plugging in 18? For A or P? For P. Very good. Right there. So I'd have 4 square root, 7 plus A minus 6 equals 18. And then remember, you solve it just like a normal equation. Okay, you're going to add the 6 across. I guess we might as well just do it. Okay, add the 6 across. 18 plus 6 is 24. Now can I square both sides? No. What do I have to do first? Divide the 4. Good. Good job, Angelo. Okay, the 4 goes away. Then I have square root 7 plus A equals 24 divided by 4 is 6. Next step, what do I do? Square. 6 squared gives me 36. Remember, my house is now gone. It crossed out. And if 7 plus A is 36, then what's my last step? Minus the 7. Good job. So A is 29. Okay? But remember, your CBA is multiple choice. So if you suck at solving, you can at least plug in the answers and see which one's right. Okay? All right, the last 3 word problems are direct and inverse. We covered this on Tuesday. So do you remember if it starts with an I, multiply? Remember? Okay, and if it starts with a D, divide. So look at this first one. says the number of kilograms in a person's body varies directly as the person's mass. So think about, the more body you have, the more water you have in your body, right? The smaller the mass of your body, the less water. That's direct because they change in the same direction. So remember, if it's directly, you divide them on top of each other. Now, I'll give you just a little hint here. It doesn't matter which one you put on top as long as you're consistent. So I'm going to put mass over water. Okay, just because that's what I pick. But you could do this upside down and you'd still get the same answer. Okay, let's look at the first situation. This first person has a mass of 90 and 60 kilos of water. So I'd put 90 on top, 60 on bottom. Then it says, how many kilograms of water are in a person whose mass is 75? Where do I put 75, top or bottom? It's their mass, so it goes on top. What do I put on the bottom? X. Or if you want to use W for water, that's fine. Okay, then how do we solve it from here? Yep. 90 times X is 90X. And then 60 times 75 is 4,500. Last step, divide by 90. And if I do that divided by 90, I get 50. Okay, then think about, my original guy was 90 kilograms. What did I do to his size? I brought him down. Well, then does it make sense that his water went from 60 down to 50? Okay, yeah, one went down, the other went down. That's direct. Okay, read the next one. Says the cost of a ticket varies inversely with the number purchased. So the more tickets that are purchased, the less the price is. Okay, if nobody's buying tickets, they might raise the price, so they're opposites. Okay, if it starts with an I, what do you do with your numbers? You multiply. So I'm going to take the number of tickets and I'm going to multiply it by the price of the ticket. Okay, so let's set up our equation. The first one says I'm buying a group of 8 tickets. They're $9 each. How much would each ticket cost for a group of 12? Well, if I have 12 people, I want to know the cost. And I'm going to use Y, but you could use C if you like that better. Okay, remember, this is almost a cross multiply, but it's already kind of multiplied out for you. So what's 8 times 9 on this side? 72 equals 12Y. Last step, divide by 12. How much would each ticket be if I was buying that many? 72 divided by 12 is 6. Okay, so if my group gets bigger, my discount goes up and I have a smaller price. Okay, next one, we have a construction company. It's inverse. Are you going to multiply or divide on each side? Multiply. Says 28 employees. It's going to take 24 weeks. So I'm going to do employees times weeks. That's my setup. So 28 times 24 equals. Okay, what happened to my team? It went down to only 12. Okay, I'll put W for weeks this time. Now think about it. If the number of guys I have on the job goes down, what's going to happen to how long it takes me to finish the project? It's going to go up. So that's an easy way, if it's multiple choice, for you to cross out some answer choices. 28 times 24 gives me 672. 12W on the other side. And then divide by 12. So if I cut my crew basically in half, then how many weeks is it going to take me? 56 weeks. Good. Okay. All right, turn for me please to the last page. Okay. The last thing that you have to be able to do is what you just took a test over. Okay, some of us, it seemed like, learned it pretty well. Some of us struggled. So I'll tell you that the one on your test that's like this is the one where you have to bubble your own answers, okay? So this is the only question that you're not going to have, and I keep calling it a test, it's a quiz, sorry. Okay, but the only one that you don't have answer choices for is this one. So we're going to practice it again, make sure that at least most of us know how to do it. The first thing that you do is you break up the denominator. So if it's x squared minus 16, how can that break up? That's a square root breakdown. What's the square root of 16? Plus or minus 4. Plus 4 and minus 4. And remember, the reason that we break it down like that is so that we know what needs to be fixed. Okay? So now that I know that that one has a plus and a minus 4, how do I fix the second fraction? Put an x minus 4. Okay, and then on the third fraction, it already has the minus 4, but it needs the plus 4. So the way that I graded y'all's test was that if you at least broke it down and did that step, I gave you half credit. Okay, because it seemed like most of us could at least do that part. Okay, then from there, remember I can cross out the bottoms. What is x not allowed to equal that I'm crossing out? It cannot equal -4 or 4. So if either of those are my answers, I can't pick it. Okay, from the top, I have x squared minus x times x is a minus x squared. X times minus 4, how much is that? -4x. Oh wait, is it -4x? If this is a negative here too, and a negative there, that's going to be a plus 4x. Good. Other side, 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 4 is 8. Then remember, you drop your railroad tracks. And what is x squared minus x squared? 0. They cross out. So then I have 4x equals 2x plus 8. Okay, remember, we have to bring the baby to the mama, so 2x is smaller, subtract it across. 4x minus 2x is 2 left over. And then if that's equal to 8, my last step is to divide by 2. So x is 4. Okay, where does 4 go? As the solution or the extraneous solution? Okay, look right here, it was extraneous, so it would go here. Okay? Alright, check out the next one. Okay, we're going to have to break this bottom down. I'm going to do it by T-chart. -12 at the top. What are my ways of multiplying to 12? Start with 1. Okay, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. I need to get a -1 in the middle. -1 in the middle. Which pair do I want? 3 minus 4. Good. Now remember, if I wanted a positive one, I'd minus the 3 instead. Okay, so over x over x. Okay, x minus 11 over x squared, oops, hold on, x minus 4 and x plus 3. And then remember to leave a little bit of room on your fractions, because you know you're going to have to fix whatever's missing. Okay, then also notice that whatever's on the other bottoms can kind of help you figure out what needs to go on the top, right? Okay, so what does this fraction need with the 2 on top? Needs the x minus 4. And what does the third fraction need? X plus 3. Good. Okay. Then from there, you're going to cross out all of your denominators because they match. But you're going to list the numbers that x is not allowed to equal. I crossed out a minus 4, then x cannot be positive 4. I crossed out a plus 3, then x cannot equal minus 3. And then you just take the top crap that's left over and solve it. So I have x minus 11 from here. I didn't have to fix that. Other side, I'm distributing a 2. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times minus 4 is minus 8. Next one, we're distributing an x. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. Now notice you got a lot of terms there. The ones that are already together, you can just combine. So for example, if I have a 2x and a 3x, how many x's is that really? 5x. Now the other thing I'm going to do before I solve is put these in order. So who should come first on that right side? X squared gets to come first, then 2 and 3 make 5x, then minus 8. And then since my x's are split up, I'm going to have to get them on the same side. So I'm going to minus this x across. 5 minus 4 is how many in the, 5 minus 1 in the middle is how many? 4x. And then this is a plus 11. What's negative 8 plus 11? That'd be 3. From there, I'm going to do my chart to solve. I need numbers that multiply to 3. What's my only choice? 1 and 3. Over x, which means it's x plus 1 and x plus 3, which means that what does x equal? Negative 1 and negative 3. Good. Now let's pretend like this is your CBA and you have to pick which one to bubble because you can't bubble both. Which one is the real answer? Negative 1 or negative 3? Negative 1. Why would I not pick negative 3? Because it's not allowed to equal that. Okay? So when you tomorrow, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have 2 answers. One of them is extraneous. Don't bubble that one. Okay? Because remember, if it's an ES, it's not the real answer. So you would bubble this one. Okay? Alright, last one. Can we think of numbers that multiply to 10 and add to 7 to break that down? What will multiply to 10? 5 and 2. Good. Okay, so for my last one here, if I have a 10 at the bottom, I need them to add to 7. I'm going to do x plus 2 and x plus 5. Okay, first fraction, I already have both of my pieces. I don't have to fix anything there. Second fraction needs an x plus 5 top and bottom. And the third fraction needs an x plus 2 top and bottom. Then when all your denominators match, you're allowed to cross them out as long as you list what your ES's will be. X is not allowed to equal which 2 numbers? Negative 2 or negative 5. And so then remember, at the end, if one of those comes out to be the answer, it's not really that number, it's the other number. Okay, then we're only taking the tops from here. So I have 3x plus 21 equals 5 times x and then 5 times 5. So 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, then on this last chunk, what do you need to do? Double distribute. Good. So it'd be x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so lots of crap, but remember, it's all going to combine together and not be that bad. Okay, so drop your railroad tracks. Anybody that's together, I can combine. So I'm going to let my x squared come first because he doesn't have anything to combine with. Then I notice that I have a 5x, a 2x, and a 4x. How many x's is that all together? 11x. Then I have here a 25 and an 8. They're already together. How many is that together? That'd be 33, right? Okay, then my 3x plus 21, I'm going to have to undo those or cancel them out so that I have everything together. So minus 3x minus 3x. Cross out. 11 minus 3 is going to be 8x. Then minus 21 on both sides. 33 minus 21 is how many? Good. And then from there you're going to T-chart. What numbers will multiply to 12 and add to 8? 2 times 6. Which means it's going to be over x, x plus 2, and x plus 6. So my two answers are negative 2 and negative 6. But I can only bubble one because it's the CBA. So which one will I bubble? Negative 6. Okay? Good job. Yes? Okay, so take a look at your review. The only ones that you have left, we did the entire everything except those two on the front. So finish these two. If you did not show me your review yesterday, make sure that I see it today. You can also show me these tomorrow if you prefer that, okay? And then I don't have time to print you progress reports. Can you get on focus on your phones and look? Okay, your test grade is in and your review from yesterday is in. So it probably changed your grade quite a bit. Yes? Huh? When? For lunch, yeah. And y'all, I'll be here after school today till 5 if you need help. Sure. Okay, you forgot to, on the top here, that's going to go divide by 2. Right? What's 6 divided by 2? So it'll be 2 in the front. Now, even though the top you should have broken down since it's a plus and minus. You did that one. So you need numbers that multiply to 7. And then remember, if you want the list, go into y equals and do 27 divided by x. And then go into your chart. You have it all done? Okay, don't forget to put your name on it. The website, because I put the video in there. I may have sent it out yesterday, but if I didn't send it yesterday, I'll send it today. But we did like almost all of it yesterday. It would be x minus 3, x minus 7. Okay, so then that's how that's going to break down. So maybe do your break dot thing number so we can split it up. And you're coming in with your time. We're like revision. All of it looks familiar? Okay. Well, so they're negative here, but when you move it over, they go to positive, correct? Can you stay after today? Okay, because what we need to do now, that you have an idea how to do this, is I can give you your and it's over this stuff. Half of it is over this. So you can at least get that half done. Okay? Because you're correct. So yeah. just have 2 left.